Hello everyone, it's June again. Tonight I'm going to be recording two topics. One is AI, why I don't like it, and number two is misophonia. Now I think the misophonia one I'm going to do first. Now, due to the fact that a lot of people don't like to be recorded, that's why I have to keep the camera on my face. So, yeah, you're going to be seeing a lot of my face. I got to do it like this so that I can hold it comfortably. Alright, so, first topic tonight is misophonia. What is misophonia? Well, misophonia is a condition where your brain decides that it doesn't like certain noises. For some people, it's, vehicles like all the motorbikes that you hear. For others, it's conversation or stuff like that. Now, for me specifically, it is open mouth chewing. Yeah, I don't know why, but for some reason, my brain does not like the sound of open mouth chewing. Because, to me, it's like, for people in America, they would understand this. To me, it sounds like nails on a chalkboard. People who chew with their mouths open normally make extra exaggerated noises, like extra slurping, smacking, gnashing, stuff like that, and it just irritates me to no end. And I don't like it, but there's really not much I can do. You know what I mean? And whenever I'm around people who chew with their mouths open, normally they also talk with their mouth full of food. Another thing I don't like, because people will literally shove food into their mouth and then just start talking immediately, talking around the food and everything, and it just sounds horrible. And now we're passing a shop where a person is singing karaoke. Personally, I think that karaoke needs to be banned unless it's inside of an actual karaoke parlor with soundproof rooms. Yeah, I don't like that. Anyway, so getting back to misophonia. So, there's really not much you can do if you have this condition, because it's more of a psychological or neurological thing. The only thing I can really do to go ahead and lessen the symptoms a bit is by listening to music. And for me, listening to music actually helps because of the fact that I don't hear anything except for the music. I don't hear, people talking with their mouth full of food. I don't hear, the open mouth chewing with all the extra unnecessary exaggerated noises that go with it, stuff like that. I don't hear it. I pay it no mind. Now, how did I get misophonia? Well, misophonia is not really something you can catch. It's something that either happens or it doesn't. Alright, now we're passing another shop where people are singing karaoke very loudly. And as you can hear, it's a pastime of a lot of Vietnamese people. It's like a hobby. Some people sing karaoke just for the fun of it. Even though most people can't sing worth anything. It just sounds like, well, needless to say, if people want to sing karaoke, that's fine, but they should sing karaoke in a karaoke parlor with soundproof rooms, not outside where everybody can listen to it. Anywho, getting back to misophonia again for the third time in a row. So, the other thing about misophonia is, like I said, it's not something you can take. You either have it or you don't. Now, how did misophonia develop for me? Well, I didn't really have it before coming to Vietnam. I don't know how it started. All I know is just that one day, out of the blue, sitting with my in-laws and my wife, we just something that just clicked, and now I can't stand the noise. So I avoid family meals with my in-laws for the plain and simple reason that I don't want to listen to people chew with their mouth open and talk with their mouth full of food. I don't like it. I don't want to listen to it. I feel I don't have to listen to it. So I decided to go ahead and, you know, not, listen to it anymore. Now, yeah, it kind of lessens the family relationship a little bit. But at the same time, it's one of those things where I give them their space to eat how they like, and they give me a space to eat how I like, which is with my mouth closed. I don't talk my mouth full of food unless I absolutely have to. And while I chew my food, I don't make any unnecessary exaggerated noises. I just eat. That's it. Now, yeah, eating with your mouth closed can have some problems, such as you might chew on your lip or you might chew on your tongue accidentally. Never did the tongue, but I have done my teeth quite a few times, and yes, it is painful. But, that's what happened. Trying to think of anything else I can think of to go with misophonia. Honestly, there's not really much I can think of to go else with misophonia. It's just that if you don't want to listen to music and you want actual silence, get earbuds. Or not earbuds, but the earplugs. Normally you can get the little cheap styrofoam ones, and they're good at blocking out noise. Or you can go and get the over-the-ear ones. Them ones work too. But for me, I listen to music because it's a lot cheaper than buying earplugs all the time. Well, honestly, I can't think of anything else to say about misophonia, so I'm going to move on to my second topic. AI and why I hate it. Gotta wait for an intersection to clear. A lot of motorbikes. Every time you cross the street here in Vietnam, there's a chance for me to hit, so you gotta be careful. Alright, so, next topic, AI and why I hate it. See, AI, a long time ago, used to be just in the realm of science fiction. That's all it was, like Isaac Asimov's 3 Laws of Robotics. Stuff like that. And the movie I, Robot, starring Will Smith, that was actually a good movie. And I believe that someday AI is going to head in that specific direction. So, I was born in 1986, so I grew up during the age of the technological revolution, the computer revolution, the computer age. When I grew up, we didn't have a computer in the house, just simply because of the fact that we were too poor to afford them. Computers back then when I was growing up were on the cheap end $1,500. More expensively, that could be well over $3,000-$4,000 for a home computer system back then. Yeah, they were that expensive. And I remember my very first computer, it was an old, I think it was an old Apple II that I reassembled in Mrs. Nemechek's class, 3rd grade at Theodore Roosevelt Elementary School. Her name was Mrs. Nemechek, and it was 3rd grade. And I remember reassembling the Apple II because it was all in pieces. And I spent a couple of recesses putting it back together, turned it on, got the programs installed, and this was all back when I was 8 years old. Then after that, I went ahead and used a simple word processor, played a couple games on it, decided I liked computers after that. So what I did after that, that sparked my love of learning, my love of knowledge, and I went ahead and decided I liked computers from that point on. Then introduced Windows 3.1. Then Windows 95, then Windows 98. Then after Windows 98 is Windows XP, I skipped the NT 2000, it just went straight to XP. But the reason why I'm talking about computers and stuff is just to tell you that back then AI didn't exist. It was just the realm of science fiction. And then, eventually, what happened was, computers started changing, they started becoming stronger, they started becoming faster. the processor itself started getting more capacity. So what happened was the fact that as technology advanced, so did the programming, and it got to the point where technology could now support AI, like actual AI, not theoretical, but actual AI. Now we're getting ready to pass another restaurant that's blasting music, so gotta be a little careful with that. I gotta step out in the traffic a little bit. And so the first actual AI chatbot was actually made in the 1960s. I think called Eliza, 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 I think it was. And after that, I remember keep my space in the frame here. Also, it wasn't really used that much. But then came ChatGPT and all the other, AI chatbots. And I'm just saying to myself, nope, no thanks, I don't need it. Don't need it, don't want it, have no use for it whatsoever. So there's ChatGPT, there's Grok, there's the Samsung Galaxy AI. I mean, there's nowadays here locally, there's AI in everything from TVs to smartphones. I mean, even washing machines now have AI, and I don't need it. I don't need it. I don't want it. I have no use for it at all. I disabled Copilot, the AI from Microsoft. I disabled that on my computer. I disabled Gemini on my phone because I don't need that either. And I told my wife flat out that when we move and when we get our own place, everything we own is going to be a dumb appliance, a dumb refrigerator, dumb microwave, dumb stove top. Everything's going to be dumb. And if I have to pay extra to find a dumb TV like an old Castle Ray-Tube CRT TV, so be it. But I'd rather have all my appliances be dumb appliances than have one single appliance that has AI in it. My point of view is quite simple in the fact that you do not need AI in your washing machine. None of your appliances need to be smart appliances. I mean, yeah, I have technically what's called a smartphone, but there's no AI on it because I had it disabled. This is probably the only smart device that I have that I deliberately keep the AI off of it. Now, the other thing I don't like is how prolific AI is becoming, especially here in Vietnam. AI is now being used in the traffic security systems. So yeah, because see, I'm going to flip the camera around. That is a traffic camera notice right there. And it's not 10 lock ward anymore, it's actually an Pudong ward. Anyways, getting back to me. So, the traffic cameras here in Vietnam, some of them in Hanoi, some of them here in Ho Chi Minh City have AI. And what this does is that it goes ahead and allows the traffic police, which is separate from, investigational police. There's a lot of different police departments here. That what they do is that they go ahead and scan the license plate and see if the person actually has a license plate. Because, there's a lot of fake plates on the road, so they'll determine if it's real or not, and if so, what kind of bike it belongs to, stuff like that. And then after that, they go ahead and take a look at the driver. Yeah, facial recognition too. So they do the facial recognition thing. They'll determine whether or not the person is a criminal, or even if they have a license. I don't really know exactly all that the AI system is used for the traffic, cops and whatnot. But I suppose that's what it is. But I think the main thing is basically just to check the license plates and see whether or not somebody's a criminal or not, and that's about it. Not only that, but a lot of schools are starting to use AI And I draw the line right there. Because see, I can kind of see the actual use. I can kind of see the actual use for AI in, police work, because it does take some of the desk work out of their jobs. It does make things a little bit easier. But I draw the line at using AI in public schools because of the fact that it just makes the teachers a lot lazier than what they need to be, and it just ain't right. See, a lot of you, especially a lot of you Star Trek fans, may have watched a movie called Star Trek Insurrection. In Star Trek Insurrection, Captain Picard, is talking to one of the Baku colonists, the male Baku colonists, and the male Baku colonists goes ahead and tells Captain Picard that when you create a machine to do the job of a man, you take something away from that man. And I think that never has something actually become so true. Because of the fact that with AI, especially as it applies to teaching in school, you're essentially lowering the standards for what constitutes a teacher. And I'm not talking about just teaching English, I'm talking about teaching in general. Now, if it's like a college course and it's like how to program AI or how to make an AI, that's a little different. Because with the rise of AI, even though I don't like it and I don't believe in it, it was being taught in college as an actual course, like how to become an AI engineer or something, I can understand that. But if you're using AI to teach English, you should not have your job. Now, I'm focused on teaching English because that's what I used to do for work. And I've been told that a lot of English teachers are actually starting to use AI to teach English. And one, if I ever owned an English center, I wouldn't allow AI, period, no matter what. Because the way I see it, if you can't teach English using just a book and a CD, you don't need to be a teacher at all. If you cannot teach English using a book and a CD, you don't need to be a teacher at all. Second, beyond that, is the fact that with AI, anybody, and I mean anybody, can go ahead and teach English. You have zero experience whatsoever and teach English because you got AI with you. See, a lot of people don't realize that here in Vietnam, the laws for teaching English are actually quite strict. You have to have 3 years of experience, 3, in order to teach English. You can't be a fresher teacher here in Vietnam, or what in America would be called an entry-level position. Teaching English here is not an entry-level position. You have to have 3 years of experience. You also have to have a teacher certificate, such as what I got called American TESOL from the American TESOL Institute. Lucky for me, I thought ahead and went and got the transcript to make it even more legal. And if you're a non-native speaker, like say you're from Russia, Europe, Eastern Europe, the Philippines, anywhere in there. Oh, and South Africa. I forgot about South Africa. If you're from any country where English is not the predominant language, then you have to have IELTS, TOEIC, TOEFL, or Cambridge test results at C1 or above. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. Now, there is a workaround, but it's more expensive. See, in order to bypass all that altogether, you're going to have a bachelor's degree in English teaching. Preferably from an offline, in-person only university. I mean, Vietnam accepts online, I think, but I think offline, in-person only would be best. Anywho, keeping on. So, beyond that, everything I just said. You have to have at least a bachelor's degree in English teaching for your, kindergarten, early childhood years, primary school, or elementary school as I call it in the States. Lower secondary school, what they call middle school in the States. Upper secondary school, which is what they call high school in the States. Or university. You have to have at least a bachelor's, which is a 4-year course. Now, how I got to teach English is because of the fact that I have college trade certificates, which are just as legal to prove college education here in Vietnam. As I pointed out in my last videos, Decree 162-2020 NDCP combined with Decree 70-2023 NDCP. So there's that. And I taught off and on for 5 years. And after my last job let me go, I just said, you know what, I'm done. AI is starting to become more prevalent, and I don't want to be forced to use it. Now, this is just a rumor, so I can't really say whether this is happening for certain or not. But from what I understand, the fact that some English centers are actually starting to use AI to teach English, and I think it's lazy. Flat out, it's lazy. So like I said earlier in the video, that if you cannot use just a book and a CD to teach English, then you don't need to be teaching English at all. Because I can teach English quite effectively, just using a book and a CD. That's it. I don't sing, I don't dance, I don't play games. I can teach English using just a book and a CD. That's it. And someday, if I ever go ahead and get my own English center, I'm going to make it mandatory that no AI is allowed, period. And that if you feel you have to use AI to do your job, then you don't need a job with my center. So, continuing on. So, beyond the fact that AI is being used for traffic cameras here in Vietnam, it's also being used in the schools and some English centers. And I personally feel that AI is starting to become too prevalent. Like, people are trying to generate demand for AI, and it's just really not something that I want to ever use. I've never used any AI chatbot. I don't plan to use an AI chatbot. And I never will use an AI chatbot. I don't feel a need for it at all. Please hit me. So anyways, moving on. I don't feel a need to use AI chatbot. I don't want to use an AI chatbot, and I never will. Nobody can pay me or force me to use an AI chatbot. Especially with what Sam Altman said about ChatGPT, that anything you say can be used in court. Yeah, they did. I bet you didn't know that. All your personal, deep, intimate conversations that you're having with ChatGPT can actually be used in court. So that's just why I never use any AI chatbots or anything like that. And yeah, I do keep up with the news, and I see about how, Grok, super Grok users can unlock this anime skin of what looks like to be the girl from Death Note, and that's just not my thing. Not my thing. The closest I ever got to downloading anything AI related was actually an old game called Replica, and that's about it. It's kind of like AI, but not really. It's more like predictive text. It's just a computer program with predictive text. It's not really AI. I haven't used Replica in a long time. I probably should log back in just to see how my character is doing. But anyways, so I'm taking my walk. I gotta start walking here, especially in the evening when there's no sunlight, so I can go ahead and get some exercise. But anyways, getting back to the topic. So I never have used AI, never will use AI, and don't see the need for it. Now hopefully, like I said, when my wife and I, we get our own house, every appliance we own is going to be a dumb appliance. And I don't know how the government ban is going to work on motorbikes because starting 2026 next year, the government is actually going to start banning gas-powered motorbikes from Ring Road 1 in Hanoi, and they're also going to have the ride-hailing services like Grab, Bee, and a few others all switch to electric vehicles. Now that's going to be difficult because a lot of these drivers don't make very much. At most, these drivers only make maybe about $200-300 a month. That's it, like maybe about $10 million. That's it. And if the company doesn't buy them the electric motorbikes to use, that means it's on the driver themselves to buy an electric bike, and it's expensive. Not to mention the fact that a lot of electric bike brands catch fire, especially the ones from China. Yeah, especially the ones from China. Now, the way I see it, I already have my eye on one electric bike. It's called DAT bike. DAT.BIKE. If you type that in, you'll go ahead and find the DAT bike website. And the one I'm looking at is the Quantum S1. The Quantum S1 looks like it's actually big enough to handle me. Not only that, but it also looks like it's strong enough to handle me too. Yeah, it's all electric, but its top speed is about 100 kilometers an hour, which, I don't know, I think it's like 40 miles an hour or something like that. I don't really know kph to mph ratio, so there's that. Anyways, so if I have to get an electric bike, it's going to be that one, because I think it's actually going to be strong enough to handle me. Let's see what else. Now, see, technically, the bike, the electric bike, is a smart vehicle, because, well, it is. Any electric vehicle, any electric bike, car, SUV, whatever, it's a smart vehicle. But at the same time, there's no AI on it, so that's okay for me. As long as there's no AI in it, that's what I care about. So, like I said, if I had to buy one, it'd be that one, just because. That bike is actually a Vietnamese company that only makes motorbikes, electric bikes, and that's it. They don't make cars like VinFast. All they do is just make, e-bikes. That's it. That's all they do. So, it's actually a good walk. So, hopefully in the future, we will not be living in a 15-minute city, because honestly, I don't like the idea at all. Now, for sake of convenience, yeah, having everything within 15 minutes is great. But at the same time, if you are actually confined to your area and you're not allowed to leave unless you have a permit or something, that's where I draw the line. I draw the line there because of the fact that, the way I see it, if you want to go somewhere, you should. It doesn't matter if you have any particular business in that area or not. What matters is the fact that if you want to go somewhere, you should. Now, like I said, for convenience sake, I can see a 15-minute city, but not to confine people. Like, you can't force people to stay within a 15-minute walking distance or a 15-minute drive of their house. You can't force people to stay there. If they want to go somewhere else, they should be able to go somewhere else. Now, I did register for my level 2 VNE ID, which is a digital ID provided by the Vietnamese government. I did this for a plain and simple reason that I believe that while it is voluntary now, it may not be in the future. It may be mandatory. And if foreigners who currently live in Vietnam don't have one, they will either be asked to get one or leave. Now, I think the digital ID may not apply to just tourists, as long as they register with the government that they're tourists and that they're only going to be here for like 7 days or whatever. I don't think they'll need a digital ID at that point. But I do believe that in the future, like I said, it won't be optional, it'll be required. That's when I got mine got out of the way. Now, because I'm married, because my wife's Vietnamese, because my daughter's half Vietnamese, half American, and I've been living in Vietnam for almost 7 years. This coming October 30th will be 7 years that I qualify for Vietnamese citizenship. Now, I'm not going to describe my American citizenship, no. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and specifically get dual citizenship. I'm going to have dual citizenship. Now, dual citizenship is approved, but only by the president of Vietnam himself. So, yeah. Now, I'm pretty sure that it actually changed. So I know that new law has changed recently in regards to citizenship. But according to the old laws, you have to make out 3 packets. One goes to the Ministry of Justice, one goes to the Ministry of Public Security, and one goes to the President of Vietnam himself. And because I'm married, and because my daughter is half Vietnamese, half American, that proves family ties, times 2, I do not need to prove Vietnamese language skills. I do not need to prove residency, nor do I need to prove financial requirements. But last time I tried to apply, which was last year, they went and told me that I had to prove a year's worth of income. 1 year. Even though most teaching jobs only last for 9 months. They wanted me to prove a year's worth of income. And that's just not possible. Plus, they also you had to prove a land ownership requirement. Like, you have to have a certificate that you own land or a house or something, also qualify for Vietnamese citizenship. Now, the real estate laws here in Vietnam are a little strange. I gotta do it every now and then, my mouth gets dry. The real estate laws here in Vietnam are a little strange. See, citizens can go ahead and purchase land, they can purchase houses, they can purchase whatever. But everything, all the land, is actually controlled by the government. All of it. What you're doing when you buy property is that you're buying basically like an eternal lease agreement. If you're a citizen, you're basically buying an eternal lease agreement. So you're basically leasing the land from the government, but you only pay one price, you don't pay every year. And of course, you can build a house on that land, or a business, or whatever, as long as you got the proper permit, and the land is rated for, housing instead of rural agricultural or anything like that. So there's that. And some people actually try to build houses on agricultural land anyways, and some people build houses illegally. So if you build a house here in Vietnam, you better make sure that you have the right paperwork, because if you don't and the government finds out, they will make you tear it down. Like what happened at Phu Quoc Island, where a bunch of people decided to build houses, like a lot of houses, on a nature reserve area, like, reserved for nature. And the government found out, came in, did an inspection, and then forced the construction company and the homeowners to dismantle the houses and return the land back to its original state. Yeah, imagine the people who spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on a house, only to find out that it wasn't legal and they had to go ahead and pay even more money to dismantle it. Exactly. Now, when my wife and I buy a house, we're going to buy a house in the countryside that's close enough to the city where if we need something we can get it, but also far enough away where we don't have too many neighbors. You know, peace and quiet. That's what we want. And then everything we own is going to be a dumb appliance. But moving on from that. So, getting back to what I was saying earlier. If you're a foreigner, however, and you're unmarried, you're only allowed to buy an apartment. That's it. And only in a building where there's, I think it's a 60-40 housing limit, where it's 60% Vietnamese to 40% foreigners. So yeah, you're basically only allowed to buy an apartment, and it must only be in an apartment tower where there are other foreigners. Now, why this is, I don't know. And frankly, I don't care, because that doesn't apply to me. Because I'm married, because my wife is Vietnamese, I can live anywhere she does. And that says so according to the housing laws. Yeah, I know housing law. Not all of it, but I know a little bit. So, according to the housing law, because my wife's Vietnamese, I can live anywhere she does. So, I don't have to live in foreigner-only neighborhoods. I don't have to live in an apartment where there's other foreigners. So, I'm actually quite glad of that, because mainly the foreigners that I see are in Taojian. That smells good. I just smelled something quite interesting. Since it's going on YouTube, I can't mention it, but it smells great. Anyways, so I can live anywhere my wife can. I live in an area where there are no foreigners. At least no one that I know about anyways. I haven't seen a single foreigner in this area that actually lives here and not, teaching at one of the English centers since I started living here, and now it's like I said, almost 7 years ago. In the time I've been in Vietnam, I've only moved once. From the old 10 Swan Ward to 10 Lock Ward. That's it. I don't really count the time I lived in District 10 because of the fact that it didn't last that long. It was only like 4 or 5 months. We didn't really last that long anyway, so I don't really count it. But anyways, I don't want to be around other foreigners because the ones here in Ho Chi Minh City, the ones that I've encountered anyway, are the ones that believe that their fecal matter doesn't stink. Like, they think that their fecal matter smells of roses, and that their nature's greatest gift to mankind. And of course, they're all English teachers, every single one of them. There might be one or two that's actually a doctor, or something like that, but 9.9 out of 10, they're all English teachers, and they all think that their fecal matter smells of roses, and that's the nature's greatest gift to mankind. I just don't want to be around foreigners like that at all. So where I live, the new address is, I live in neighborhood 42 of An Phu Dong Ward in Ho Chi Minh City. There is no District 12 anymore since July 1st is when they did a government restrictions. And what happened is that they got rid of the 3-tier system, ward, district, city, and they're just doing wards and cities now. So the address is a little different. The house that we want, it's not a big one, not really. There'll only be 2 floors, ground floor and the first floor, that's it. Ground floor is going to have 6 bedrooms, 6 bathrooms, bathroom for the kitchen, so basically 6 bedrooms, 7 bathrooms. Also, living room, stuff like that, kitchen. And then after that, the whole upstairs is basically just going to be one big attic. It's all going to be the same size, same height. So it's 3 meters tall for the ground floor. It's also going to be 3 meters tall for the first floor. So total height, just for the house itself, maybe about 20, 22 meters. Thereabouts. Now, unlike American homes, Vietnamese homes do not have water heaters in a traditional sense. See, Vietnamese homes have solar-powered water heaters, which is actually somewhat of a good idea because you get hot water and you don't have to pay electricity to use it because the electricity is being taken straight from the sun. The bad part is that you have no hot water on cloudy days. And anybody who's ever lived in Vietnam before knows that it rains a lot during certain times of the year. And if you depend on hot water, like for me, for shaving, you're just going to be out of luck. I'm trying to avoid using foul language so everybody can listen to this video or watch it. But so they don't have traditional Western style water heaters, they have solar powered water heaters, which work just as well. Beyond that, we're going to have solar power because we'll be living out in the countryside. Getting electrical power may be a little expensive. So we want solar power, and if we struck the lottery, which, by the way, foreigners can't win the lottery in Vietnam of $1 million just a few days ago. Now, if I had that kind of scratch, not only would I have the house built, they're all solar powered, I also got what's called an AWG, an atmospheric water generator. What that does is that it takes air and converts it into water. Think a bit like a giant, not a very nice person. Think about it like an air conditioner. You know how an air conditioner produces water? Because if it doesn't take, it takes coolant from the fan, circulates it, and the air blows across the cooling coil, creates water. Yeah, it's basically the same concept. Only the water drips down, gets collected, purified, stored in a tank, and then shunted to where it needs to go. The one I want to buy, if I would have to have at least $1 million USD to do this, would be a 40-foot trailer option because that one produces 5,000 liters of clean drinkable water per day. Now, if the house is all solar power, and it's a decent sized one but small enough, then we don't use that much electricity. And if we have that 40-foot trailer AWG, then we don't have to drill for a well either. So we can live on the land, maybe grow a little garden or something. And yeah, it's going to be just us living off the land for the most part. Passing the restaurant again, and you're still blasting music. Now, the thing is though, I have been to Chaldean Ward. Well, what used to be called Chaldean Ward District, the old District 2 before they changed everything around. I've been there, and honestly, I don't feel the need to go because yeah, it's really just for foreigners. There's very, very few local citizens there. I used to have this nice coffee shop that I went to a long time ago, and it's not there anymore. I think they got bought out. But this coffee shop would serve extremely strong coffee for 10,000 dong, which is like I don't know, 30 cents or something US. I don't know the conversion rate. But they used to serve extremely strong coffee, and I liked it a lot. But it ain't there no more. And like I said, every single foreigner I've met, they just act like their fecal matter smells of roses that the nature race gives mankind. However, I have also met foreigners. They're actually pretty nice people. And a few that I consider close friends. You know who you are. If I consider you a close friend, you know who you are. No need to drop names. Now, I pretty much run out of stuff to talk about, but I still feel like I gotta talk about something because I'm not quite back to my house yet. So here's another thing that I wanted to talk about is the English centers themselves. You see, here in Vietnam, teaching English is a big, big business. It is. So big, in fact, that when you point out all the bad stuff that they do, they get really unhappy. See, I used to work for a lot of English centers here in Vietnam because teaching English is literally the only job that I'm allowed to have. I'm not allowed to do nothing else, I'm not allowed to be nothing else but an English teacher unless I can create my own job. And what happened was the fact that every single English center I ever worked for treated me like garbage. They treat me like a tool, not a person, a circus clown, not a human being. And it was IALC, now IALCVN. Yeah, they changed the name, but they're still the same people. They're the ones who actually inspired me to learn my rights under Vietnamese labor law. Because I knew that they had to be doing something wrong. I just couldn't figure out what it was. Now, a couple of tactics that a lot of English centers like to use is the fact that they like to go ahead and take your passport, your bachelor's degree, and other stuff, and hold it hostage so you can see your work for them well past the point where you want to quit. That's illegal. And I can tell you why, because under Article 17.1 of the 2019 Labor Code of Vietnam, it specifically states that it is illegal for an employer to keep personal identity documents. So your passport, your TRC, your bachelor's degree, that is a form of ID. Anything that has your name on it, they're not allowed to keep it. Another thing they do is that they steal from you. Article 127.2 of the 2019 Labor Code of Vietnam specifically states that it is illegal for them to use monetary fines as a form of discipline in the workplace. Now, how does this apply to foreigners? I'm glad you asked. Under Article 151.3 of the 2019 Labor Code of Vietnam, all foreigners shall comply with and shall be protected by the labor laws of Vietnam unless prescribed by treaties to which Vietnam is a signatory. So foreigners are protected under Vietnamese labor laws. But English centers don't want you to know that. Now see, here's the other thing. My right ankle is starting to hurt. Ow. Well, that's what happens when we wear cheap sandals. Maybe I should take my wife's advice and come with feet. Anyways, so they like to steal, they like to go ahead and take your identity documents away from you, and they like to treat you like garbage. And if you tell them that's not right, you can't do that, you get fired. That's what happened to me. But I didn't tell major academies I knew labor law until after I was hired. The only thing I told them was the fact that I don't want the work permit exemption. I don't want the work permit. I want the work permit exemption certificate that I actually qualify for. because the paperwork requirements for a work permit are a lot more extensive and a lot more severe than a work permit exemption certificate. I was given paperwork for it. And then, later on, one of their staff messages me and says that I need to pay $5 million for a work permit. And I said, why? I don't need a work permit. I need a work permit exemption certificate. And $5 million, that's crazy. Because 4 regions in Vietnam, the government price for a work permit is no more than 400,000 VND. That's it. 400,000 VND for Region 1, which is Ho Chi Minh City. I basically told a staff member that I'm not dumb, I know better. And after that, they decided to start manufacturing excuses, and that's how I got fired from my last job. Like I said in the last video, they couldn't get me for being late because I was always early. They couldn't get me for uniform violations because I wore a uniform with fighting distinction. They also could not get me for not honoring Vietnamese culture and heritage because I actually made the students stand for a flag ceremony every Monday and Friday. Nope, they got me because of the fact that I refused to sing, dance, and play games, and made that the entire focus of the lesson instead of the actual lesson itself. That's how they got me. Now, if I ever got my own business where I play the labor laws, of course. I plan, when the time is right, to go ahead and not only launch my own business, but also I'm going to go ahead and hire employees as soon as I have the money for it and apply the labor laws. This way, employees know that they have a boss that actually cares about them, a boss that gives them all the benefits as described by law, and institutes proper disciplinary measures. Now, what are the disciplinary measures for Vietnam? Well, that's quite simple. There's 4 options. First one is a warning. Just get a simple warning. Now, it's not really specific if it's verbal only or an actual written warning. We got warning. Number 2 is deferment of pay rise for up to 6 months, meaning you don't get a pay raise for up to 6 months, past the point you should have got one originally. The third one is demotion. You know what that means. And then the last one is dismissal. So I plan to treat my employees well. I plan to use the labor laws effectively. And yeah, now this coffee shop, restaurant, convenience store idea, I will have a sign up. And this sign will specifically state no English teaching on the property. Because of the fact that if I catch anybody, foreigners or local citizens trying to teach English at my coffee shop, they receive a lifetime ban because I'm not going to allow that on property. Not only does teaching like that break the law, because it's not sanctioned by the Ministry of Education and Training, but also because of the fact that I can't ensure quality of the English language instruction. I don't know who the foreigner is, I don't know who the students are, I don't know how good the teacher is, any of that. I just would rather not have to deal with that at all. So yeah, no teaching English at my coffee shop. If you do, you get a lifetime ban. And of course, I will notify the police. So yeah. Well, I'm starting to get back close to my house, so I can't really think of much else to talk about for right now. I was thinking about doing this as a 3-part video if I could make the 3-part YouTube requirement, but I guess this will be okay for right now. So, thank you for watching the entire end of the video. I got about 5 minutes left to make it 1 hour, so I don't know what else to talk about really. I still need donations, like badly. I don't have any, my Vietnamese bank account is completely bone dry. My PayPal is 58 cents. And I have 2 Pi coins in my Pi coin account, which, yeah, I also accept Pi coin as donation too. So the thing is I'm going to expand my donation request in that if you want to donate to me, you can donate either by PayPal to stealashadow@protonmail.com or scan the barcode. If you're in Vietnam, you can scan the barcode or the QR code to go ahead and send money to me directly. And that's with bank transfer. So anyone who has a Vietnamese bank, go ahead and simply scan the barcode or type in my account number to donate money to me that way. Or if you have Bitcoin you don't want, you can also send that to me. And I'll go ahead and repost everything again, but this time also include the Bitcoin QR code. Okay, you can send that to me. Now, if I had any other option whatsoever, I would not be on the internet begging people for money. And trust me, I don't like begging people for money. I really don't. I believe that every person, man or woman, young, old, whatever, should be able to make money. They should be able to work, earn money from a legitimate job to feed themselves and their families if they have one. However, I don't believe in forcing a person to work one job and one job only, and if they don't want to work that one job anymore, that they don't work at all. I don't believe in that. I believe that my skin color, my passport, and my natural American English speaking skills should not determine what job I'm allowed to do. The only thing that should determine that is my resume, the CV, and my college certificate. That's it. That's the only thing that should determine what jobs I can do. So, it's like I said earlier, if I had any other option whatsoever, I would not be on the internet begging people for money. But I don't really have a choice. But I will say that any and all money, cryptocurrency, whatever that's sent to me, I will go ahead and graciously accept it and apply for stuff I need. I'm not going to go ahead and spend it on stuff I don't need. Alright? Now, the stuff I need right now is bottled water from LaVie, 500 milliliter bottles in 24-pack cases. I need coffee, ground coffee, not the, coffee bean type. Sugar, condensed milk, regular milk, which comes in a bag. Yeah, pretty much all that stuff right there. That's what I need. Also, I need to repair my motorbike, and that's going to cost about 15 million VND. There's a lot of stuff that's wrong with it. And I also need to start giving my parents rent money too, and I can't even afford that either. So, yeah. Alright, well, we're at the 59-minute mark, so I want to go ahead and try and wrap this up. I wanted to say thank you to everyone for watching this video, if you actually made it to the end. I'm actually going to try and make videos more often. Maybe every single time I take a walk, I might make a video, because it's one of the only times when I can get out of the house and just relax a little bit. And it's really hot tonight. My wife tells me I should try and get more exercise and lose some more weight. So, yeah. But, anywho, so the timer's counting down. So, honestly, I can't think of anything else to talk about. Make sure to like, share, smash that notification bell. Please donate. I really need the money. This is Yunli Han, reporting to you live from Ho Chi Minh City, Vietnam, neighborhood 42, and Pudong Ward. Have a good night, be safe, and I will go ahead and talk to you again soon. Peace.